Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Anaheim Ducks, welcome to the Girls Virtual College Fair American Collegiate Hockey Association, or ACHA, webinar. We are excited that you are joining us today, and we have some great speakers who will provide important information regarding the path to becoming a collegiate student athlete. My name is Jamie Riedel. I am the youth hockey coordinator here with the Anaheim Ducks, and I'll be moderating today's panel. Before we get started, there's a couple items that I wanted to note. First, you'll notice that all participants will be muted with the video disabled for the duration of today's webinar. Today's webinar will be recorded. The recording will be available on www.ducksgoal.com on Sunday evening. We will also be sending you a link directly to your email following this webinar. Please feel free to use the Q&A function that is live, and it's located at the bottom of your screen to ask questions throughout the webinar. We'll have approximately 15 minutes dedicated to the live Q&A following the panel, and we'll try to address as many questions as we can at that time. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our very first speaker today. Here with us, we have Craig Barnett. Craig Barnett is the Executive Director of the American Collegiate Hockey Association, otherwise known as the ACHA, the national governing body of non-NCAA college hockey in the United States. Craig is originally from Toronto, Canada, and played college hockey in the US before playing professionally for 2 years in the New York Rangers organization. After his playing days, Craig started his college coaching career, which lasted 15 years, including a 5-year stint as an NCAA Division I head coach. Craig was an athletic director at the NCAA D3 school on the East Coast and at an NCAA D2 school in the Midwest, which sponsored men's and women's Division I hockey. Craig then spent 7 years as an NCAA commissioner in the sport of women's lacrosse, as well as men's volleyball, prior to taking over as executive director of the ACHA in 2018. In addition to his role with the ACHA, Craig is entering his 8th season, now in a part-time role with the North American Hockey League, Tier 2 Junior League, as Director of NCAA Compliance and Education. Without further ado, please welcome Craig Burnett.
Thank you, Jamie, and welcome everybody. I appreciate the Anaheim Ducks putting this on to allow us to share our women's hockey divisions within the ACHA. And my goal is just to give some quick overview on the ACHA itself and women's hockey and who we are and what we do. And then more importantly, pass over the reins to our two Division I commissioner, or our two commissioners, our Division I commissioner and our Division II commissioner that are on this seminar as well. So we're fortunate to have them that could give you more in-depth regarding each division. And then obviously the rest of our panelists here have expertise in their fields as well. So if everybody can see my screen, I'm just gonna, again, just give a quick overview of the ACHA. The ACHA has been around since 1991. We're the national governing body for non-NCAA collegiate hockey. And we have 5 divisions. Let me just go through here we go. When it comes to college hockey, obviously there's the NCAA, and I understand the NCAA path happened earlier today. So that's great that everybody on this call can learn more about the NCAA opportunities for girls and moving on to play women's college hockey. And then obviously at the top end of the ladder of development is also the ACHA. So we are, as I said, the national governing body for the non-NCAA college hockey. We have 461 schools in the country. Covers 48 states and also 2 Canadian provinces. So we have 5 divisions total. We have men's Division I, 2, and 3. And then what we're here to talk about today is our women's Division I and women's Division II divisions. We're made up of a board. We have a 9-member executive board. We have an executive director, yours truly. We have 3 other directors that help us with hockey operations and everything else. And more importantly, we have 5 divisional commissioners. Again, Taylor and Molly are our 2 women's commissioners on this panel. So why play ACHA hockey? Because we're so vast and we're in 48 different states, there's probably a program, you know, wherever you want to go to school. if it, we're in traditional college markets, we're also in non-traditional college markets. So we offer a wide variety of locations. If you have a school of interest that you're looking to select a major in, and it's in a non-traditional college hockey market, there's a good chance that those schools may have an ACHA hockey program. So you can find a level of your choosing to your own competition level on the women's side with Women's Division One and then Women's Division Two. ACHA provides 5 years of hockey eligibility. So the NCAA provides 4 years and the ACHA provides 5 years. So that sometimes is an advantage for young prospective student athletes that are looking to continue to play competitive hockey at the college level. Because of the vast size of the ACHA, our alumni base is huge. Women's hockey continues to grow at both the NCAA and the ACHA level. And when you're part of obviously a large association as the ACHA, there's a lot of opportunity to network and to, when you're looking for jobs outside of college, when you graduate from college, there's a large network to tap into. We are a partner with USA Hockey, and that's one of our big value add-ons as well. So we register all of our teams and so forth through USA Hockey, and we're very proud to be a partner with USA Hockey. And so those are just some of the reasons why you should consider the ACHA. We are also one of the 17 hockey associations across the world that were selected to be part of the NHL's Declaration of Principles. And that's something that we're very proud of. And you can see a list of the organizations there on my screen, but it's something that we're proud of, that we work on, dealing with sportsmanship, dealing with respect, dealing with, all the little projects that our student athletes give back to their community to help build the game of hockey. We have a lot of community involvement, just like you would anticipate when you go to college. Our teams are very involved. One of the biggest awards that we give out every year to schools in each division is our community awards at our annual meeting. So we have a tough time. It's probably one of the toughest decisions we have to make is who wins these awards, because there's so many schools that give back to their communities in so many different ways, and it's really refreshing to see what our student athletes can contribute to their communities while they're student athletes at those colleges. We have regional and national tournaments. Right now, we have our national tournament. Typically, we have all 5 divisions at one location, and we crown 5 national champions. This is a unique year with the pandemic, unfortunately, and we won't be doing that this year. But we've been fortunate in partnering with NHL communities over the years to host our national tournaments. A few years ago, we were in Columbus for a couple of years, back to back with the Blue Jackets. Most recently with the Dallas Stars down in Frisco and McKinney and Plano, Texas. This year, we were supposed to be in Boston at the New England Sports Center. And in 2022, we've awarded to our national tournament with the St. Louis Blues hosting us. So we feel very good about those NHL communities, that it gives us an opportunity, just like we're doing right now with the Anaheim Ducks, being able to speak to the girls here and tell our story about the ACHA. All of our national tournament games are broadcast live through streaming, and we internally run that ourselves. So it's very unique that we have a total of 72 teams at our national tournament, and we broadcast all 109 games. Again, every game is streamed live, so that's something we're very proud of, and something certainly family members and so forth that cannot attend our national tournament have the opportunity to watch their sons and daughters or grandsons and granddaughters play. One of the biggest things that I'm very proud of is the academic piece. Obviously, when you're a college student athlete, you're a student first, and that's the most important thing. So when you're looking for schools to choose, you definitely have to be looking at the academic side first. That's first and foremost to why you're going. So when I looked at the top 25 universities in the world 2 years ago, the top 25 universities in the world, 17 of them are in the United States. And 14 of those 17 schools have ACHA hockey programs. So I thought that's pretty unique, and that's something that's for us every day is exciting to be part of. You know, when we have such great academic institutions that represent and play ACHA hockey. So our website, if you go to our website, you'll see the women's division. And if you click on the women's division, there's a drop-down menu there called Teams. And it will give you a list of all of our schools' locations, where they're located, and you can search it by a state. And that could give you an idea of, hey, how many ACHA hockey teams are in California? How many are in Michigan? So it's a resource for you on our website to maybe do a little drilling down and learn about which schools, which universities you might be choosing if they have an ACHA women's hockey program. So just real quick here, I did mention, you know, obviously our 5 divisions, our men's division 1 division has 72 teams. Our men's division 2 division has 190 teams. Our men's division 3 division has 126 teams. And then I'm going to be passing this over to Molly and Taylor, but you'll learn from both Molly and Taylor that our women's division 1 group has 27 schools, and Taylor oversees our Division 2 with 58 schools. So at this time, I appreciate all your time and listening about the ACHA from a general perspective. At this time, I'm going to pass this over to Molly, and she can talk about Women's Division 1.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Craig, for all of that information. I just wanted to note really quick that in the email that you received last night from me with the Zoom access information, there was also an additional document that was an overview of the ACHA. There is some contact information on there, as well as some social media accounts. So if you are interested, please feel free to follow those and reach out to any of the contacts listed on that document. Without further ado, I'd like to bring up our next speaker today. We have Molly Mahoney. Molly Mahoney is the ACHA Division 1 Women's Commissioner. She has been in this role for 5 years. She originally got involved with the ACHA as a student athlete at Grand Valley State University, where she actually started the women's hockey program, and she played there for 2 seasons. Aside from the ACHA, she works full-time at the University of Notre Dame's Compton Family Ice Arena as a programming and event coordinator. Welcome, Molly.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jamie, for the introduction. Like Jamie said, I am the ACHA Women's Division 1 Commissioner, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our division. So we do have 27 teams. We have teams out on the East Coast like UMass and University of Rhode Island. We have several schools in Michigan. We have a few scattered throughout the Midwest, quite a few teams in Colorado, a team in Utah, and then we actually have 2 teams in Arizona, Grand Canyon University and Arizona State. Our division is made up of 4 leagues. The Eastern Collegiate Women's Hockey League is out on the East Coast and includes UMass, URI, and Penn State. And then we have the Central Collegiate Women's Hockey Association, which is the schools in Michigan. It includes the schools in Ohio and then the schools in Illinois as well. And then our newest league is the Women's Midwest College Hockey League. And that includes schools like Minot State, Midland, and Lindenwood, just to name a few of those. And out west, we have the Western Women's Collegiate Hockey League, which includes our Colorado schools, our Utah school, and then the Arizona schools as well. We also have 2 independent teams, and all that means is that they're just not associated with a division within our league. So they get to play all the same teams that everybody else does. They just don't have the benefits of being in a league. A little bit about our academic requirements at Women's Division 1. We do require that all students are enrolled in 12 credit hours per semester. And then in order to play the next semester, you do have to pass 9 of those credits. We do also have a 2.0 GPA requirement. Some schools, however, do have a school requirement that may be higher than that, or even sometimes teams will set a higher requirement as well. So something to keep in mind. Like Craig said, we do offer 5 years of eligibility available to student athletes, which is a bonus for those compared to the NCAA that only gets the 4. One of the unique things about our women's divisions, and I'm sure Taylor will talk about this as well, is we have a range of commitment levels, even at the Division I. Some of our schools are ran like varsity programs where they might have a rink on campus and their own designated locker room space and facility. And there might be other teams that don't necessarily have a rink on campus, but they might have a rink that they have a relationship with and they have a locker room and space available to them. Some of our schools have programs where you don't have to pay a dime to play. And then there are other schools where I would say most of our schools is kind of right in the middle, where they may get a stipend from the school to go towards their team, but then they are also rely on player dues to compete. And then we do have some schools on the other end of that spectrum that might not get any financial support from the university. And so they're strictly ran based off of players' dues. One of the things about the ACHA is that we don't give scholarships to athletes to play. So it is kind of a pay-to-play model. Typically, our teams, I would say, practice anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week, some a little more, probably some a little bit less too. And then they usually have games on the weekends. Usually the seasons will end towards the end of mid-August to end of August with tryouts and conditioning skates and different things like that. And then the season will run through the end of March, ending with our national tournament. So the national tournament, in order to qualify for the Women's Division I national tournament, your team has to play in 18 games against 8 different opponents. And many of our national eligible teams will play in more games than that. That is just the bare minimum in order to qualify for nationals. Nationals have previously been held in places like Dallas, Texas, Columbus, Ohio, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Rochester, New York, just to name a few. And the top 10 teams in Women's Division I make the national tournament. Previously, we've had just 8 teams, and this year our division voted to add 2 more teams to that. So that's a great expansion of our national tournament to allow more teams to go, because it's been very competitive, which is great to see. And the teams that make nationals are decided by rankings, and the rankings are typically done by computers, but we have also done a coaches committee as well. So that is the summary of our Women's Division I. Back to you, Jamie.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Molly. That was a nice little overview of Division I, and it's the perfect segue into Division II. At this point, I would like to bring Taylor Hadley on screen. Taylor is the ACHA Women's Division II Commissioner. She's originally from Boston, not Boston, but she's a Massachusetts native and now Maryland transplant. Not wanting her hockey career to end after high school, where she played for Bishop Girton in New Hampshire, Hadley embarked on a 3-year journey while in college to co-found the Loyola University Maryland Women's Ice Hockey Club, for which she played 1 season during her senior year. Today, Hadley also leads the Women's DVCHC as commissioner. That's a Delaware Valley area conference made up of women's club teams. And she's an assistant coach for the Loyola Maryland women's team and works full-time at a public relations firm based in Baltimore, Maryland. She is a level 4 USA Hockey certified coach and hopes to complete the level 5 certification in the near future. Welcome, Taylor.
Thank you, Jamie, and thanks to Craig and Molly for leading us up to this point. I hope I'm not too repetitive for some of the information that has already been talked about, but like Molly alluded to, there is a lot of variation, even among the D1 teams and also in the D2 teams. So I work in communication, so I couldn't help myself but making a PowerPoint. So I'm going to share my screen really quick and get everybody to check this out with me. Share. Perfect. So what we have, and here we'll go fancy, present. Awesome. So women's D2, quick facts. Craig mentioned we have 58 teams in W2, which is our shorthand for women's Division II. We have teams in Canada and the US, a couple teams in Canada over the last few years. We cover 21 different states. As Craig mentioned, on the ACHA website, if you navigate to Women's D1 or Women's D2, you can actually see a full listing of all of our programs, and those you can sort by state. So if you're specifically like, I really want to go to college in Michigan, or I really want to go to college in Massachusetts, you can narrow that down on the ACHA website by looking at our programs, which is really cool. Molly also referenced conferences. So what that means is at W2 level, we have 4 conferences that we recognize. They all have a minimum of 6 teams that are also members of the ACHA. So those teams have gone to pursue more local league play is basically what that means. So CCWHA, the CHE, the IWCHL, and the DVCHC. We love our acronyms in hockey. So all of those different conferences, like I said, have ACHA members. And the benefits of that is that as a team, those programs actually compete for a more local level, say championship or playoff tournament, as opposed to a team who's not part of a conference, which is just as common. Those teams are really competing just independently, playing teams at will, competing for nationals via our ranking program, but they don't have that sort of end season goal automatically of being part of a playoff tournament. So that is just something to be aware of. You might want to ask teams that you're pursuing, are you part of a conference? Is something like a playoff tournament, a goal for us separate from nationals, which is at that higher level? What does that look like? So something to keep in mind. I love Craig's map, and I sort of created one as well. This only reflects W2 teams, but I think it's a really good representation of where we are right now. There's a lot of growth. We haven't gone quite as far west as W1, which is another piece of the differences between W1 and W2 is that some of our W1 programs have so much travel just because they're that much further from the majority of their competition. Whereas in W2, you might have a lot more teams in your backyard. So again, something to keep in mind when you're considering where you want to play. Do you want to be traveling halfway across the country for games sometimes, or would you prefer those 3-4 hour car rides, bus rides with your team? So more common differences. Molly touched on some of these. I think they're really important. So financial commitments, budgets. W2 teams tend to have on average a smaller budget than the D1 programs. That's not a hard and fast rule. And generally speaking, there's more financial commitment for the players at the W2 level. Now, there are teams in W2 who are really, really building up their programs. They have great relationships with their college or university, and the school is backing them in a really positive way, which means there is less financial commitment. So those are questions that you might want to ask as you're pursuing different colleges and universities and looking at the hockey programs. What is the financial commitment? Is the school supporting us? What does this relationship look like? Another difference is the student leadership aspect. I would bargain that Molly deals with a lot more coaches directly for the W1 teams versus I work a lot with student leadership. There are lots of coaches who are very hands-on in W2, but a lot of our W2 programs are a little bit more what we would consider a club program. So those are schools that really try to have opportunities for their players to have leadership roles. So we're working with team captains, team presidents, secretaries. Team leadership is the one taking over scheduling for the program, working with their university to make sure they're in compliance, doing all of the requirements to be a member of the ACHA, all of the admin work. So really, there's a lot of opportunity for the students to take the lead, whereas coaches on the Division II level might be more of a, I'm here to run practice. I'm really excited to be here. I'm here to coach the games. Let's build this team. But the coach might not be as hands-on with the ACHA membership. The other piece, again, is travel and commitment. So at D2, we have a lower requirement for games. So there may be less travel and less time required. On the next slide, I cover to go to nationals in D2. You have 12 teams. The top 12 teams of our 58 is who is invited. And you're guaranteed 3 games, which is a big benefit. To qualify, teams have to play a minimum of 10 games against 5 different opponents. So you'll notice that's a difference from W1, where it's like a smaller season, I would say. And then rankings are done pretty similarly. It ebbs and flows year over year how we handle that. But another piece I wanted to touch on is roster size and kind of the makeup of a program. So in W2, the roster sizes on average are probably a little bit smaller. You don't have 20, player teams in D2 as often as you might in D1. You also have a lot more players who maybe are in their postgrad. Molly mentioned their 5-year eligibility process in the ACHA. So in W2, we see a lot of players who might go back for a master's and play a 5th year or transfer, and they maybe play their senior year and plus 2 years of postgrad. We have students who are in a PhD program who play in W2. So I think that's a little less common in W1. And then, of course, there is the intent to go to nationals. So I would argue that the W1 programs are more likely to have their end goal. Yes, we are competing this season to go to nationals. That's our goal. In W2, like I said, we have 58 teams, but only 12 of those are ultimately invited to nationals. Not all of our 58 teams have an end goal of going to the national tournament. So in W2, you might really find a program that is there to continue playing hockey, have a club on campus that means something, get that sport in that everybody loves to play. And then at the end of the season, that's kind of it for them. They're not pursuing that postseason play. Quickly, I don't want to take too long. I'm sorry, Jamie, I'm not timing myself here. I hope I'm not going too long. But when we think of competitive college hockey, this is what we generally think of, right? Holding up the trophy, the big smiles at the end of the season. But I think that ACHA hockey and women's D2 and women's D1, the club level, is so much more than that. I wanted to just highlight a few things. These are from Twitter. Our teams have super active accounts. These teams go out and do community service together. They go play pond hockey together. If they can't travel for Thanksgiving, the coach has them over for dinner. And then, Christmas parties together. These are all things that NCAA teams do. It's a team, it's that, environment that we all know and love on a team sport. But I think in the college level, when you're not participating in a varsity environment, some of these things are really just more attainable and more fun. I'm not going to read this list to you. I think maybe Jamie could circulate, and a lot of this is in the PDF that you all received, but just key things to remember. There are so many opportunities for leadership roles when you're playing college hockey rather than just hanging up the skates and, leaving a sport behind that you love to play. So I think on the ACHA side, we really love to see the opportunities that women's hockey is continuing to offer players so that you do have a place to go to school, and you don't have to stop playing hockey. So I'll let you all, read these lists on your own time, but I do want to kind of continue this conversation about what does it mean to play club hockey in college? And these are just a couple questions that I would recommend asking yourself. And we're going to pass this to Rena, who's a coach for Liberty, in just a minute. But, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but there are circumstances where you might be playing college hockey and you might get injured. And so what would you do with your time? Would you be happy at the college you choose if for some reason you have to take some time away from hockey? So when you're looking at an ACHA program, I definitely recommend picking a college that you are excited to go to and maybe finding that list of colleges with hockey teams. But at the end of the day, you're a student athlete, and making sure that that college you choose has everything you're looking for, including hockey, is so important, because we do see students transfer from team to team. Maybe they find that the commitment level is higher or lower than they expected, so they want to move on to something else. So finding that full picture of the hockey program is really important. For example, is the team that you're pursuing national tournament? Is that important to you, or would you rather just have the chance to keep playing? So this is just a few questions I would consider asking yourself. That's what I've got. I hope I didn't talk too fast, but I know we want to keep this moving along for the Q&A at the end. So you all have this information, but absolutely I recommend going to the ACHA website. Don't hesitate to contact me or Molly with any specific questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor. A lot of great information. Oh, sorry about that. I was muted. Thank you so much, Taylor. A lot of really great information there. Like she mentioned, if you have any questions, we do have that Q&A function live right now. So please feel free to send any questions through and we'll address those at the end for any of our panelists. And with that, I'd like to bring up Rina Leon. As Taylor mentioned, Rina Leon is a coach for an ACHA women's team. She has been with Liberty University Women's Division II coaching staff for a total of 5 years, 3 years as an assistant coach, and she's currently in her second season as a head coach. Leone played for Liberty University's women's D1 program from 2006 to 2009, and then for the women's Division II team from 2012 to 2014. Other programs that she has worked with are Penn State University Women's Club Program, Keystone State Games head coach, Hockey Ministry International Summer Camps, and with the Pittsburgh Vipers Youth Organization. Leone is a level 4 USA Hockey certified coach and hopes to complete the level 5 certification in the near future. So without further ado, welcome, Rena.
Hi, thanks for having me this evening, or I guess afternoon where you guys are. I was asked to speak on this panel to kind of cover a couple different areas. The different areas are the qualities that I look for or coaches look for in prospective student athletes, time commitments for different programs, and then like overall ACHA experience. Here at Liberty University, I kind of have a good perspective of both women's D1 and D2 because we do have both programs. Chris Lowe's is the head coach for our women's Division I program. They are, since the Nationals got canceled this past season, they are the reigning national champions. Our program, the women's Division II program, we're about 10 years old, and we're, I don't want to say still in the building process, but we were able to bring home our first conference championship 2 seasons ago. So we're slowly catching up to our women's Division I program. I've also coached at Penn State University and have seen kind of what their program looks like. So I have a good idea of kind of what student athletes are looking for when it comes to their commitment level to a university. I'm gonna pop up or share a PowerPoint that I have to kind of cover everything. Hopefully it goes soon.
We see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So kind of coming from the coaching perspective, what I look for in players, there's so many different ways to be recruited these days where as a coach, we are looking for the communication from the players. From a club perspective, it can be difficult with a lot of coaches who aren't full-time staff at a university. I'm lucky enough that I work here at Liberty University, so I'm able to do coaching emails throughout my workday. Other club coaches, especially with the women's Division II, are not lucky enough to work for the universities. They have different jobs, so a lot of their time is spent in the evening answering emails on the weekend. So what I would always say is if you are interested in a university, please reach out. Most coaching emails are available on the ACHA website. So if you're interested in a program, I want to say pursue the program so people know, or the coaching staff knows, to kind of touch base with you. So from the coaching side of things, what I'm looking for is just definitely communication. If you're gonna reach out, it's kind of the delay or the response time kind of to see your commitment level to the program. When I reach out to a student athlete, if they email back right away, I know they're kind of more interested. If it takes a week or 2 weeks and they say they're still interested, kind of can not be the best thing you're going to leave with a coach. Character, coaches talk to other coaches or other players or other people that you've had contact with just to kind of see how you are, not just whenever you're having those experiences, either coming and visiting campus or talking with the coaches. We want to know who you are whenever you're not trying to put your best foot forward. Definitely coachability. We need to know that whenever you come to campus and you're one of our student athletes, will you be willing to, different teams run different systems, will you be able to go to our program style? And then also good teammate. We're looking for not just good hockey players, but good people. I know from the female side of things, the less drama, the better, especially from the coaching side. I don't want to be having emails or different conversations with student athletes having to do with drama that has nothing to do with hockey. So from the college athlete, so your side of things, what I would recommend, and how Taylor kind of pointed out, is go to a university, pick a university that you can find yourself not just playing hockey, but enjoying your classes, your class size. I actually transferred to Liberty University after attending Chatham College for a year. What I found was the size of the university and just the culture wasn't really for me. I graduated with 600 students in my high school class, and I went to a university that had only 92 in my freshman class. So that was definitely a big change for me. And I found that I liked the medium-sized university. Liberty, when I attended here, was about 7,000 on campus. So I found a good range where I didn't want to go to a big university with 20, 30,000 students, but the smaller liberal arts college was a little too small for me. So make sure you know the environment, get to see the college, visit if you have a chance. I know with COVID, it's hard to get out, but there's lots of visual tours or virtual tours. With knowing the university, reach out to the coaching staff, get to know your coaches. You could have them for the next 4 years. And if you don't like them or you don't get along, that could factor into your decision making, because coaching staffs normally stick around for longer than 2-3 years. So you don't want to worry about going in not getting along with some of your coaches. And then the last thing is make sure you visit campus, especially with COVID. I understand that it can be difficult right now, but if you get a chance to even just drive around campus, don't even have to do interaction. You can always call and talk to your coaches on the phone. But if you're able to go see the university, that will definitely help. Liberty, we're lucky enough that we host these events called College for a Weekend. So I'm pretty sure other universities offer these as well, where it's just a time to come to campus, get to know the team that you might be a part of, be able to go to class with some of the girls, get to know the dining halls, the library, see their football program, go to a football game. It's just being able to kind of learn about the university on a firsthand experience. From a college athlete's point of view, this is what a Liberty Women's Division I and Division II weeks look like. So when it comes to commitment levels, our Women's Division I program is looking about a little under 10 hours a week, or Division II program, we're looking about 7 to 8 hours. Our Women's Division I program, they skate 3 times a week. They have workouts 4 times a week. They do have different goalie sessions and skill sessions. All of our freshmen are required to do study hall hours. We have mentoring sessions. My team, we skate 3 days a week. We skate during lunch, which is great for me. So we skate 12:30 to 1:30, and then they have nighttime lift sessions. I reached out to some other coaches with our of other universities to kind of get an idea of what their schedules look like. Penn State's on the ice twice a week. They work out twice a week, so you're looking about 5 hours commitment. Minot State University, you're looking about 12 hours. They're on the ice 4 days a week. They're doing 3 workout sessions, rehab sessions, video sessions. Rowan University, they're also in the DVCHC. They're looking about 5 hours a week of commitment, skating twice a week. And then Mercyhurst, they are up in Erie in the CHE. They're looking at a same 4 to 5 hours, depending on what they're doing. So those are all my slides. From the player's perspective for the ACHA, my teams, we tend to play anywhere from 15 to 20 games. So it's definitely a smaller schedule than our Women's Division I program. But the girls tend to find that they like to have a little bit of a social life, but also enjoy the college side of life. So the Women's Division II program definitely offers you the ability to enjoy college, but also enjoy hockey as well. So let's see if I can unshare my screen now. And then, yeah, so that's a good overview of kind of what a college coach is looking for. My biggest thing is, if you are interested in a university, don't hesitate to reach out, see if they have any type of questionnaires that you can fill out online. We use a program here called Front Rush, where you can go onto our website, fill out a questionnaire. It gets sent to both myself and Chris Lowe's, and then we're able to reach out to you to start that conversation about potentially coming to Liberty.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rena. That was really insightful. Hopefully that gives you girls on the call a better idea of what coaches are looking for in their prospective student athletes and what the schedule looks like, things of that nature. All right, we are on to our final panelist of the day. It's the perfect segue. We have Jennifer Bonnecki. Jen grew up playing girls hockey all over the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois at the AAA level. She went on to play at The Ohio State University on the ACHA Women's Division I team, where she served as the 2-time assistant captain, team president, and fundraising chair. Jennifer was selected for the United States National University team that won a bronze medal at the 2013 Winter World University Games in Trentino, Italy. And then since graduating, she has continued to work in hockey with the Chicago Blackhawks and currently as the amateur hockey and fan development coordinator with the Nashville Predators. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jamie. So like I said, like Jamie introduced, I'm going to talk a little bit more on the former player side of the ACHA. So I want to start, I think Taylor brought up a really good point. And this is kind of how I found my pathway into the ACHA, is really asking myself those tough questions as I was, coming up on that college experience. When I was a junior, I made the really tough decision to not play AAA hockey going into my senior year. I had realized I didn't want to play Division I college hockey. I didn't want that to be my full college experience. And that was a really tough realization because that had been my goal since I'd started playing. So I started to look where I wanted to go to school just based on academics and ended up at Ohio State. So to everyone's point is I took a campus tour and I fell instantly in love with it and knew that that was going to be where I was going to spend the next 4 years of my life. And I had really no intention of playing college hockey. I knew I was going to miss it. but that just wasn't something I was actively pursuing at the time. Until my high school coach had reached out to me asking if I had wanted to do a walk-on tryout for the Division I team. And I was training for it. And about a month or so before the tryout, I decided, again, this wasn't what I wanted. And I was actually going to take up Division I rowing. And again, it was something that I couldn't let go of hockey. So I reached out to the club president and the coach at the time, and just said I was really interested, and asked all those questions. What was the schedule like? What's the travel? Are there dues? All of that, and found that was really going to be what I wanted to do. So I actually started my college career a little bit earlier than anticipated. We had a 2-week training camp to start my freshman year. And that was a really great way to get acclimated to the university, but also the team culture, and learn all of those things that you need to know. So I learned our team fight song, all of that. And that was really important to my college experience and really shaped what it was like to be an Ohio State Buckeye. So my experience at Ohio State is kind of a mismatch of everything every panelist has already said. We were a pay-to-play model. So we had some funding from the Ohio State recreational sports department, but it wasn't a whole lot. I went to a school where there was 61,000 students, and there was a lot of clubs and competitive clubs that were vying for all of that money. So we got a small stipend every year, but we were mostly funded on our player dues. So for us at the time, it was about $1,000. And then we would also fundraise $500 for each player. And those fundraising opportunities were going and working Columbus Blue Jacket games, going to Cedar Point up in Northern Ohio and working a weekend at the amusement park, doing other really big things in the community and being involved, and getting our team name out there. So that was, community commitment was really big on our team. And we practiced at the Ohio State ice rink, so right on campus, which was a really nice perk. That's where the women's Division I team play out of. So we shared the same building. We had a locker room as well. And we practiced about 2 or 3 times a week, depending on the week, for about an hour, hour and a half. And then we also had a team workout session. So we'd go to our campus rec center, and we would rent out a workout room, some space, and we would do captain run off ice workouts just to get ready for weekends. And then our weekends were typically spent traveling, or having teams come to us. We typically played Saturday night and Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon games. And we were a member of the CCWHA Division I when I had played. Ohio State is now currently a Division II school. But we played teams like Michigan State, the University of Michigan, Robert Morris, which is now Roosevelt University in Chicago. So we played some really big powerhouse teams in ACHA Division I that went on to win multiple national championships. And the really cool experience for me was being able to take part in some of my school's biggest rivals, where our Division I club didn't have that opportunity. So we got to play against Michigan, which is our rival. So having a Beat Michigan week was something that was really important to us. I'm trying to think of what else. Some other really cool experiences we had. We got to play in an outdoor game at Progressive Field in partnership with our men's Division I program at the NCAA level. We played against Michigan State at the baseball field in Cleveland, Ohio. Like I said, rivalry games, things like that. And then in 2013, I was selected to be a representative of the National University team that went to Trentino. And the Winter World University Games, if you're not familiar with them, are the second largest multi-sport event right under the Olympics. So we played Team Canada, Team Russia, and all of that. And we were actually the first United States team to bring home a medal for men's or women's in hockey. So being chosen to represent our country was always a dream of mine. And I never thought I'd get that opportunity, at the true national level. But playing ACHA gave me that opportunity to wear that logo. And it was an experience I will never forget, and I will always cherish that. And then in addition, so what Rena was saying, we were a student-run organization. That was a big thing with Ohio State. So I was our fundraising chair and president. We also had our vice president, treasurer, secretary. So it was a really good way to get involved with the school and with the team and kind of have your say in how you wanted that program to run. Our coaches, did some scheduling for us, and that was really the extent of their involvement in our board. But anything we wanted and how we wanted to mold our team was based on the feedback of the players. So how we traveled, how we stayed at hotels, all of that was kind of how we wanted it to be. And that was really important to me. And that was something that kind of pinballed my career to stay in sports, was having that experience as well. So I think the biggest thing for me to tell you guys is really to have those hard conversations with yourself. Think about where you want your college experience to be and how you want it. Don't choose a school based solely on hockey. Really take a really good hard look. Make sure you're going to the right fit, the right culture, and also look where your academics are. Don't choose a school that doesn't have your major if you know what that is. You're not going to have an enjoyable time that way. So really, really take a look. And there are, like everyone said, there are tons of opportunities to play club hockey all across the country in the ACHA.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. We really appreciate that insight. I know we are running a little bit over time, but I want to take one question real quick before we wrap up. We're going to bring up all of our panelists on the screen here momentarily. The question that we received is, do students commit to ACHA teams prior to being admitted to the school? So if anyone feels comfortable answering, I will hand it over to you guys.
I will say something really quick. Molly and Craig might have something else to add, but as far as committing to teams, so to paint a picture, we've heard a lot about, very established teams. There are a lot of teams, especially in women's Division II, that sort of fly by the seat of their pants in a way. And so this group of girls that has created this club, they maintain it the best they can season after season. They might get to campus in September and start hanging up flyers and trying to find freshmen that may not have known the school had a hockey team and happen to choose Loyola. And then they could say, oh, I play hockey and they happen to have a team I didn't even know about. So there's a lot of that happening, I think, at the club level, where there's this grassroots trying to find players once they've already, shown up on campus to go to college. But there are very high level D2 programs and very high level D1 programs that are absolutely looking for players to commit to the team before they go into the new season. So to directly answer, do you commit to ACHA prior to being admitted? Because the ACHA doesn't do any sort of, you're not allowed to have hockey scholarships or anything like that, I think it would be really hard to commit to the team before being admitted to the university. So you would certainly have to be admitted to the school and then, talk to these programs. I would say absolutely reach out to these teams as far in advance as you see fit to start trying to find the program that you want to play at. But I think it's sort of a, which came first, the chicken or the egg, as far as committing to ACHA teams.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking that one, Taylor. I just want to note, I know we didn't have a ton of time for our Q&A, so if you guys do have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to either myself. You'll also have Taylor and Molly's contact info, so you can contact them directly. And then Rena will be participating in a coaches meet and greet session later on in the week. So feel free to hop on that call and ask her any questions directly. So at this point, that concludes the ACHA webinar discussion. As a reminder, this webinar was recorded and it will be posted to ducksgoal.com, and the link will be sent out to all of you via email. The next webinar highlighting recruitment best practices will take place tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Pacific time, and we hope you consider joining us for that webinar. Again, thank you so much to all of our wonderful panelists for providing insight on the ACHA Student Athlete Pathway and experience. We really appreciate your time, and thank you so much to all of our participants for tuning in today. Have a great rest of your day.